Today, I have a very special guest, an amazing metalhead and a legend among those around him. This fellow was the spearhead of the great Mearfest, an organization, a non-profit organization that has brought together many in the realm of the new wave of British heavy metal, both musicians and metalheads alike. Many have been able to enjoy both the music as well as a brand new kind of camaraderie that can only be found here. And that, of course, is Brian Mear. He is right here. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Damon. I'm Monster D. How are you?
I am
All right.
doing
Thanks for having
well.
me on the show.
Yes. No worries about confusing me with Damien. He's my assistant. A lot of people say that we look very much alike.
Yeah, there is some similarities, I must admit.
Thank you for agreeing to do this interview, Brian.
No, yeah, it's very nice of you to have me on your show. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
absolutely. So I'll jump right into questions. First, we'll talk about Mearfest itself, and I really just want to ask you: can you tell us a bit about sort of your two brightest influences in the creation and development of Mearfest?
I originally set Mearfest up because sadly I lost my daughter and she was stillborn, and it's a charity event. So I combined that loss with my love of old school heavy metal music, which my wife doesn't like at all, and a bit of a strange combination, but it's worked brilliantly well, and we've raised a lot of money, um, about £40,000. I'm not quite that be that in dollars, but quite a substantial amount of money over the last few years um, for stillborn research and for helping other parents that go through this, all through the love of that music.
I thank you for sharing that. And if you don't mind me asking, I understand that Mearfest that was sort of like the rebirth, if you will, of Mearfest. But I understand that your mother was also a major influence in its inception.
No, you're very true. That's very true. I lost my mum 10 years ago, and she had cancer, and I was caring for her for a number of years, um, as well as doing my job as a paramedic out here in the UK. And when she passed over, I was very sad, and I started to. I did a festival, a small festival outside, and raised some money for the hospice. We did two or three of those, and then sadly we lost the baby. So we decided to change the emphasis of the whole thing, really. Not only in remembrance of my mum Sally, but of, of more so of Molly, our daughter.
Right. And I thank you very much for sharing those with me. Uh, so I also want to ask. Uh, what would you say is kind of the link between both Molly and your mother and the new wave of British heavy metal? What is that sort of like main connector that brings those two together?
Well, it's a difficult connection, as you can probably imagine. But people like music, don't they? People like going out and enjoying themselves, and we haven't been able to do that for some time. But to raise money in any sort of form, if you put on an event, people will come and support it, and that's a good way of raising money. And that's what we've done. And we've chosen that type of music, and we get from toddlers right the way up to people in their 80s. And a lot of people come to support me and my wife Claire, um, that don't even know the music, and yet they really enjoy themselves. So it crosses over a lot of boundaries. A lot of different people get involved with it.
I appreciate that, and yes, it is very powerful to me, because it shows just how many, not only just different, how many different kinds of people can enjoy this music, but the fact that at the end of the day we are all people, and we all go through these struggles. And I cannot appreciate enough that you have chosen to share these things, with the world.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially for my wife, to make it very public. But we use Mearfest, if you like, as a way of earning funds and raising awareness as well in this situation. There's 15 babies a day in the UK that are lost through stillborn deaths, and so we're raising a lot of awareness about it, and we have a lot of people interested in it because they are quite different polar, different, totally different subjects really in lots of ways, and yet it's worked brilliantly well. We have a global following now all over the world, and a lot of people are involved in it from all walks of life.
Absolutely. And with this, with the Mearfest event itself, of course, you've drawn in the attention and the talent of some amazing artists, some amazing bands. You not only that, but you've brought back, helped to bring back bands into vitalization that I'm sure local fans to you, or have been excited to see again in different ways. But also, as you mentioned, this has gone globally. You've helped to put some of these bands on the map to perhaps even some more ears. So I want to ask, what would you say? Because you've met so many wonderful bands and band members and wonderful people. What is maybe one of the bigger surprises that happened? I guess with Mearfest, in accordance with these artists, like out of all these wonderful people you've met and come across, and people who have helped you, what is maybe one or two of the bigger things that someone has done that just sort of blew you back, like wow?
Well, I grew up with the new wave of British heavy metal, and heavy metal as a whole was my main form of music when I was 15, 16. And to be able to talk and chat to and relate to people like Lips out of Anvil, out in Canada, John Mickle Thor from Thor in America and Canada as well as the British bands. Um, to have bands like Girls' School, which I went to go and see many, many times. Abaddon out of Venom, the drummer, he's involved quite a lot
Okay.
now. A lot of the Northeast bands, I really like Raven, which are a big presence in the US. So yeah, it means a lot to me to be able to talk to these people, and of course some of them sadly have had similar losses as well, which they don't often talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of it hits home, closer than a lot of people would think, because so much of metal is born out of people's emotions anyway, and it is a way for people to cathartically deal with, situations in their own life, and then other people hear these emotions put to music, and then suddenly, we feel like we have someone else to relate to.
Yeah, I think the music itself is very powerful, very emotive, um, and that draws people in. And you're quite right. Metal or music as a whole, music's a very powerful force, and to be able to use it in a good way like this, I mean, heavy metal can have quite a bad image at times. People don't understand it, but it's such a positive thing that we're doing, and to me, it's a very powerful and positive form of music, and to be able to use it in this way to create good and to help others is a fantastic thing, and I'm very proud of what we've done, to be honest.
Absolutely. And now this year, you have taken the whole sort of Mearfest banner into another realm by releasing The Flame Still Burns, a digital download compilation of new wave of British heavy metal songs from bands all across the scape. So I'll have to ask, what would you say is the main drive for you to go this route at this point in time?
I think our own form of music is 40 years old now, and a lot of the bands that have reformed are unable to really have a good platform in the UK, and they have to go to Europe to really be appreciated. So my idea now, certainly through the lockdown, everything that's happened here with the coronavirus, the bands really can't have anywhere to play, and so I want to build a festival, a really big, sizable festival that we can have a big platform for our bands, for ourselves, rather than going abroad for that. So it may take some years, and this is the kickstart. This is the start of it. So the name, obviously, the flame still burns. The passion's still there from all those years ago, and we want to go forward with it and have something for us all to look forward to and start to plan for when we are able to have live music. That we will start something together that will grow and grow year on into the future.
Right, and I thank you for that. In the title itself, the flame still burns. That takes an even deeper meaning after the year 2020, and after such a long stretch where there are virtually no concerts or venues at all, and yet in that same exact time, there was a ton of music that had been created and released, and despite what may appear to be inactivity, there still is such a great passion among all these artists to bring music to the world again in at this point probably whatever way they can.
Yeah, it's been difficult for all the bands. Our backdrop, which is and our logo is Molly's left hand
Yes.
handprint, and that's all we took home from the hospital. But our backdrop is a handprint, and it's quite a big backdrop, and we've sent that around the UK on tour because the bands can't play, so they take the backdrop, they take it around their city, or they'll take it into a recording studio and do some songs, and so we've sent her out, if you like, Molly out around the UK. She's in Scotland at the moment, and we will actually do a tour shirt and a program and stuff like that. And it just gives us unity. It just gives us connection as well during this very difficult time. An unusual idea, but it works very well.
Absolutely, and I have to ask too, since this is a digital download, and as you just mentioned, the new wave of British heavy metal, it's in the ballpark of 40 years old. So of course, a lot of its fans are of that sort of older generation, many of which might possibly be sort of sticklers for collecting vinyl or physical media or whatever. What do you have to say to fans in that realm in regards to something like this digital download album?
Yeah, well, same for myself, to be honest with you. I have a lot of vinyl, I have a lot of tapes, and cassette tapes even. So it's the first time I've ever been able to, I've ever downloaded anything. And it's a friend of ours, Danny Haynes, who's the singer from Weapon UK. It was his idea to do this. It's something he's done before for a London venue that was going under really financially, and he's put on a similar thing, raised a few £1,000s through it, and it's something he can do, and he wanted to see if we could do it with this. But I think leading on, if it's reasonably successful, I think all of us would like to put it out in some physical format. So that's definitely something for the future, I think.
Something to look forward to. And yeah, and I'm sort of I'm a weirdo in that I'm in between the two. I mean, there's the era of people who are vinyl and nothing else, and then there's the era that's already here that only streams or downloads. And I'm the weirdo who's in the middle who still clings on to CDs for whatever reason. Um, but in regards to this download, what I've come to liken it to is sort of the early days of new wave of British heavy metal when everyone was doing those mixed cassette tapes. I know that a lot of people in the U.S. that was the only way that they were getting some of that music was through maybe they would luck out and find like an AM station and they would sit there and wait and sort of record this random song and that random song and some of it would be cut off. I know that Metallica was inspired by starting out by doing that with a lot of bands. So you had all these random like mixed new wave of British heavy metal tapes. So to me, this Flame Still Burns is sort of like a revisited version of that in a sense.
Yeah, very much so. We had our own. We had the Friday Rock Show, which was Tommy Vance in the UK. It was the only form of heavy metal music at the time, about 1980, 1981. In the Saxon lyrics to Denim and Leather, did you listen to the radio every Friday night? That refers to him. I love cassettes myself. I'm on the radio tonight actually, here in the UK, and the DJ who's doing the interview with me is going to tape it for me. So we may have a cassette available of that album and that show. So if we do that, I'll send you one.
Nice, nice.
How's that sound?
That might start a brand new revelation within me. Back to the cassettes.
Well, there's cassettes are coming back, certainly in the UK a little bit. Strangely enough, but people said that about vinyl, didn't they? They wouldn't come back, and it has done. So there's a bit of a revival in cassettes as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a vinyl section in Walmart again here now. So yeah, all things come back eventually.
Yeah, go full circle maybe.
So on the Flame Still Burns, is there a particular song or two on here that you feel like is sort of most anthemic of Mearfest and everything that it has stood for?
They're all really brilliant tracks, and they do show the variety of the music involved, because it wasn't a form of music, it was an era of music.
Right.
The bands, some are quite melodic, some are quite heavy. I think Praying Mantis, you may know, Tino, the guitarist, has donated the track Naked.
Naked,
and
yes.
that's about a similar loss with his daughter, Bryony, who was stillborn, full-term stillborn as well. And the lyrics relate to that. So that's definitely the one that stands out for me. And it's a lovely song. And that was given to us as a bonus track. So that's definitely on the album. I really like that song very much.
You know what? That was actually the song that I was wondering about when I asked that question. Because I told you, I've listened to the entire album. Saturday, I downloaded it. And since then, I've probably listened to it from top to bottom 4 or 5 times. But there was a point in the middle there when my ears really started pinpointing on the lyrics of that Praying Mantis song. And I thought, this is, like, it's singing about Mearfest. Like, it's so perfect. And then I looked it up and I realized that the song dates all the way back to, I believe, 2000. And I know it was re-recorded after that. But, lyrics like "Throw me a rope down from the sky," and "Stripped of all my love, tears, and my pride." And I agree with you. All of these songs are amazing. Like I love the Badham track and the Grim Reaper track, "Rock You to Hell," and the Avengers take on Inquisitor are like amazing. And I'll listen to those forever. But yeah, I got to that song at the end, and I just said, like, in the fact that that's the final track on this wonderful album, like, this is like the perfect like cap to really speak to what this entire thing is about.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Monty. It really highlights the music in all its forms, and it highlights what we do and why we do it. So I'm very pleased with the way it's come out, and thank you very much for allowing me to come on, and hopefully some of your viewers will be interested in Mearfest and the album as well. I hope so.
Yes, yes, I could not recommend it enough to anyone out there. I'm about to let you go, but I just wanted to ask: is there anything else coming up that you would like to tell the Monster fans about, or perhaps, I guess, more accurately, to make sure that they can get both the Flame Still Burns album and anything else you would like them to see?
I think I'd like to mention the fact that my wife's written a book, and she's self-publishing it, and it's about the loss of our baby and her life and Mearfest as well. And it's called Rockabye Baby, and it's out on Amazon by Claire Mear. So a bit of a shameless plug there, but we're trying very hard to get it out there. It's hard. It's hard to promote anything yourselves, isn't it? And,
Yes.
I don't know if we've tried that, but yeah, we've sold about 500 copies in a month. So yeah, it's a very good book. It's I'm just saying that it's very interesting. My wife's had an interesting life, and I'm very proud of her to produce that. And as I say, that's out now on Amazon as well, or through the Mearfest site, mearfest.org. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'll definitely make a point to give that a view as well. I came across the book whenever I was looking up some other bits on Mearfest. So as soon as you go on mearfest.org, I'm glad to see that pop up, almost right away.
Yeah, the cover was designed by a 9-year-old girl out in Sweden. One of our fans out there, his daughter. The design, the handprint looks like the world. It's quite stunning, really, and yeah, it's very much linked in what we do. So there we are.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you sharing that and for sharing all of this. I really just want to close by saying, Brian, that I appreciate how much you have been able to show the world this kind of tender, raw side of metal, and how there is love in this whole thing. You have turned pain into power, and you have been an inspiration to many, many people, including myself. So I thank you for all that you've done, all you continue to do, and I thank you for sharing that here with me today.
That's very, very kind of you, and it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Good luck with everything.
You as well. Thank you, and as I always say, stay monstrous.